There comes a moment in every thoughtful life when a man pauses, looks at his reflection in silence, and realizes that the enemy he feared most has always lived behind his own eyes. He has fought rivals, endured critics, and wrestled with circumstance. But the battlefield that truly decides his destiny is not out there, it is within. It is the invisible arena of thought, emotion, and discipline. The masses believe success is a storm that arrives from the outside, a lucky break, a sudden opportunity, a door that swings open by chance. But those who study the laws of achievement know that success is not a visitor, it is a construction. It is built brick by brick in the mind, and the cement of that structure is emotional control. Emotional detachment is not coldness, it is composure under fire. It is the art of thinking when others panic, of moving with purpose when others freeze. It is the quiet strength that allows a man to be surrounded by noise, yet remain inwardly still. For it is not the wind that determines the direction of the ship, it is the hand upon the rudder. When Napoleon said that a man who can command himself is greater than one who can command an army, he touched the foundation of all personal mastery, for self-command is the essence of power. Without it, talent wastes itself in disorder. Ambition collapses under mood, and opportunity dies in confusion. Consider this law. Every great fortune, every empire, every enduring achievement begins with the mastery of emotion. If you cannot command your inner world, the outer world will enslave you. Let us begin with the first habit, a habit so small it almost escapes notice, yet so powerful it can change the entire climate of a man's mind. The habit of pause. The ordinary person reacts. The disciplined thinker pauses. That brief moment, that heartbeat between stimulus and response is the birthplace of freedom. In that pause, the mind decides, shall I be ruled by the fleeting passions of the moment or by the principles that shape destiny? The weak rush to answer emotion's call, the strong wait until reason speaks. Every argument lost, every deal ruined, every friendship broken by temper began because the pause was ignored. To pause is to rise above the animal impulse to react. It is to look upon your emotion as a passing cloud, not as your master. The man who pauses thinks twice. The man who thinks twice rarely falls. Now understand this. Discipline does not appear by miracle. It is cultivated. You cannot demand control from the mind unless you have trained it. Just as the athlete conditions his muscles, the philosopher must condition his thoughts. He must practice calmness until it becomes instinct, reflection until it becomes reflex. And how does he train? Through tiny, invisible habits, habits that seem trivial to the casual eye but accumulate like compound interest. He wakes not to the alarm of chance, but to the command of purpose. He chooses silence over gossip, reflection over reaction, responsibility over excuse. Each choice, small and private, forms a thread in the fabric of greatness. This is the secret few will ever grasp. The smallest habits of thought create the largest outcomes of destiny. If you allow emotions to govern your actions, you forfeit your power. But if you command your thoughts, you command your future. The world will bend to the will of the calm man. His stillness is mistaken for mystery. But it is not mystery, it is mastery. There is a universal law I call the law of mental neutrality. It states that your mind must be calm before it can be creative. Just as muddy water must settle before it reflects the sky, the agitated mind cannot reflect truth. When you react, you distort perception. When you are still, you see accurately. The untrained mind rushes to label every experience as good or bad. The disciplined mind remains neutral until it understands. In neutrality lies wisdom, in reaction lies ruin. When adversity strikes, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? Rather than, why is this happening to me? One question enslaves you to emotion, the other liberates you through reason. The man who lives in reaction is a puppet of circumstance. He dances when others pull the strings. But the man who lives in detachment observes, learns, and directs his own fate. Remember this, emotional detachment is not indifference to life, it is independence from disturbance. It means you can feel deeply without losing direction. Care profoundly without collapsing under disappointment. Love intensely without being destroyed by rejection. Every day, life offers you 1,000 chances to practice detachment. Someone insults you, will you react with wounded pride or smile and remain silent, knowing your peace is worth more than their approval? A plan fails. Will you curse fortune or analyze calmly and rebuild stronger? To master detachment is to master recovery. The undisciplined man falls and laments. The disciplined man falls and learns. The faster you recover, the sooner you rise. Napoleon Hill once said, "Your only limitation is the one you set up in your own mind." I would add, your only suffering is the one you allow through uncontrolled emotion. Consider the principle of definiteness of purpose. Without it, detachment becomes drifting. Purpose anchors emotion. When a man knows precisely what he seeks, the storms of circumstance cannot move him far. The winds may howl, but his compass remains fixed. You must define your purpose with mathematical precision. Write it, refine it, recite it until it becomes the very pattern of your thoughts. A mind without a clear purpose is a city without walls open to every invasion of fear, doubt, and impulse. The first victory of emotional mastery is clarity. The second is consistency. Clarity tells you where to go. Consistency keeps you moving when the mood fades. Many begin with fire but end in smoke because they rely on emotion to sustain effort. Emotion ignites the match, but discipline builds the fire. Discipline is the capacity to act independent of mood. It is the ability to do what must be done whether or not you feel inspired. The successful man has emotions, but they obey him. The unsuccessful man is obeyed by them. Let me speak plainly. Your emotions are servants, not sovereigns. They were given to energize purpose, not to overthrow it. The moment you worship them, you invite chaos into your kingdom. To master emotion, one must first observe it. When anger rises, watch it as if you were standing beside yourself. When fear trembles in your chest, notice it without judgment. This observation separates you from possession. The emotion remains, but the identification dissolves. Observation turns emotion from dictator into data. It becomes information, not imprisonment. The great Stoics of old and the modern masters of industry share this single trait, the ability to remain functional under tension. They do not deny feeling. They discipline it into force. Their composure becomes contagious. Their presence calms chaos. The second habit that transforms destiny is mental order. Order is discipline applied to thought. The average man allows ideas to wander in and out like stray dogs. The disciplined man guards the gates of his mind. Every morning, before the noise of the world intrudes, he takes command of his mental household. He decides which ideas are worthy of residence. He feeds his mind with purpose, not with poison. You cannot plant weeds and harvest roses. Yet most people read fear, speak doubt, and wonder why confidence does not bloom. Autosuggestion, the conscious feeding of constructive ideas to the subconscious, is the great cultivator of mental order. It is repetition with intention. When you affirm your purpose daily, you impress it upon the deeper mind that governs action. Say to yourself each morning, "I am the master of my emotions, the captain of my fate, the calm within the storm." Say it until your subconscious accepts it as fact, and your behavior will align accordingly. Thought repeated becomes belief. Belief repeated becomes identity. Identity governs action. Therefore, control the first link and you command the chain. When you allow negative autosuggestion, complaints, fears, jealous comparisons, you instruct your subconscious to sabotage you. It obeys whatever you rehearse. So rehearse mastery. Here lies another subtle habit, the discipline of internal language. Never speak defeat, even in jest. Words are the blueprints of belief. Every time you declare, "I can't," you construct a wall around your potential. Every time you declare, "I will," you open a gate. Guard your vocabulary as you guard your fortune. Speak only what you wish to multiply. Now let us explore the third invisible habit, solitude of reflection. The world screams, wisdom whispers. You must schedule silence. In that daily silence, the mind digests experience and refines perception. Those who never sit in silence live on borrowed thoughts. They react to opinions instead of cultivating understanding. But the man who withdraws each day to think becomes dangerous to mediocrity. He begins to generate original power. In solitude, you meet yourself. You confront your fears, negotiate with your desires, and return with direction. The man who fears silence fears self-knowledge. But knowledge of self is the foundation of all power. In solitude, you learn detachment from noise. You discover that calmness is not weakness, it is concentrated strength. The fourth transforming habit is emotional economy. Just as the wise investor does not squander his capital on trivial ventures, the wise mind does not waste emotion on trivial matters. Every burst of anger, every wave of worry, every hour of envy is emotional expenditure without return. Ask yourself daily, is this worth my energy? If not, release it. Emotional economy produces abundance of power. Waste it, and you become bankrupt of will. Remember, it is not fatigue that destroys men, it is friction. And emotional friction is born from unnecessary reaction. A calm mind is a mind of leverage. It can lift mountains with measured effort while others exhaust themselves, pushing pebbles of irritation. To be calm is not to be passive, it is to be precise. Those who master calmness perform with surgical accuracy while others thrash in confusion. The surgeon cannot operate while trembling. The investor cannot decide while panicking. The leader cannot command while raging. The calm man is not emotionless. He is emotionally exact. He feels fully yet expresses wisely. Now, the fifth habit, accurate thinking. Emotional detachment makes it possible. Discipline makes it permanent. Accurate thinking is the ability to separate fact from interpretation, cause from coincidence, and evidence from opinion. It is mental hygiene. Most suffering comes not from reality, but from misinterpretation of reality. A man loses money and concludes he is cursed. Another loses money and concludes he has purchased a lesson. Same event, different mastery. Accurate thinking begins when emotion ends. The mind clouded by feeling cannot measure truth. Every successful person you admire, from the inventor to the statesman, has cultivated the habit of emotional neutrality and judgment. They decide by logic supported by intuition, not by intuition distorted by emotion. When you reach that level of control, every decision becomes deliberate, every move efficient, every result exponential. You begin to operate by principle, not by impulse. You evolve from a creature of circumstance into a creator of circumstance. That is the true meaning of power. There comes a turning point in a man's evolution when he realizes that power is not measured by how much he can control others, but by how completely he can command himself. The world bends to those who have first conquered their inner storm. Those who cannot master their emotions are slaves, even when they wear crowns. To achieve lasting success, you must learn to move with purpose even when the heart trembles, to think clearly even when the blood burns, to persist even when the world mocks. This is the law of mastery, to remain inwardly unmoved while outwardly unstoppable. Most people believe emotion gives life its color, and that is true, but undisciplined emotion paints chaos on the canvas of destiny. Passion must be yoked to principle. Energy must be directed by intellect. Otherwise, the fire that could forge an empire becomes the flame that burns its own foundation. Let us now examine what I call the law of calmness. Calmness is not the absence of motion, it is motion in perfect control. It is not silence of sound, it is silence of chaos. The calm man is not asleep, he is awake beyond panic. He walks through confusion as the mountain stands through the storm. Every great leader, thinker, and achiever has cultivated calmness as their first weapon. Observe the generals in the heat of battle, the investors in the face of market collapse, the surgeons before the knife, the monks in the middle of noise, all masters of calm. They understand that when the mind is still, power multiplies. Calmness is concentration energy without waste. It channels emotion into precision. When you are calm, your thought pierces like a laser. When you are agitated, your thought scatters like smoke. There is a law in nature. Energy, when scattered, weakens. Energy, when focused, intensifies. Emotion is energy. Therefore, the man who can focus emotion is invincible. Do not misunderstand. Calmness is not coldness. It is the refinement of feeling. The cold man suppresses emotion, the calm man directs it. Suppression breeds weakness, direction breeds strength. You may recall the ancient wisdom, he who conquers others is strong, but he who conquers himself is mighty. Calmness is the armor of the mighty. It is the invisible shield that deflects insult, frustration, and fear. It is the invisible crown that adorns those who rule not by force but by poise. If you would develop calmness, begin with the smallest trials. Practice silence when provoked. Delay your reaction when annoyed. Smile when corrected. Speak only after thinking twice. These tiny victories forge the iron of patience that will one day hold you steady through storms greater than you can now imagine. The man who cannot control his tongue cannot control his destiny. For the words that escape in anger build prisons of regret. Calmness is emotional leverage. In every situation, the man who remains calm holds the higher ground. Others may shout, panic, or crumble, but he observes, and in that observation, he finds the key to influence. People follow calmness because calmness radiates certainty. It is the signal of one who knows where he is going. If you wish to attract trust, radiate calm. If you wish to command respect, radiate calm. If you wish to think clearly, radiate calm. For calmness is the atmosphere of mastery. Now, let us examine the mechanism by which this power is developed. It begins with thought discipline. Every emotion begins as a thought. Fear begins as a thought. Anger begins as a thought. Anxiety, jealousy, despair, all are children of thought. The untrained mind allows these thoughts to grow unchecked until they form the storms of feeling that dominate behavior. But the disciplined mind traces emotion to its seed and removes it before it blooms. If a negative thought arises, observe it, identify it, replace it. This is mental agriculture, the cultivation of your inner field. The farmer does not argue with weeds, he uproots them. So must you. If you say to yourself, "This failure proves I am inadequate," you are planting poison. Replace it instantly with, "This failure teaches me how to rise higher." Thought substitution is emotional transformation. The subconscious mind accepts whatever you repeat with conviction. Therefore, emotional mastery is repetition of truth until it becomes instinct. You must become your own sculptor, chiseling away every thought that weakens purpose. Each morning, direct your first energy towards self-command. Before you face the world, face yourself. Ask, who commands my mind today, emotion or intention? If emotion commands, delay decision. No important choice should be made in anger, fear, or despair. Emotion blinds, intention clarifies. Let us now discuss the principle of thought first. Everything that happens in your outer life is a reflection of the thought that preceded it. Thought is the cause. Condition is the effect. Most men live in reverse. They try to change effects without changing causes. They repaint the fruit while neglecting the root. You cannot change your life until you change your thought, but you cannot change your thought until you change your emotional state. Emotion colors perception. A man in fear sees only danger. A man in calm sees opportunity. Both face the same world, yet they live in different realities. The wise man begins not with circumstance, but with consciousness. He regulates emotion first, then he thinks, then he acts. The fool reacts, then regrets, then repeats. This is why detachment is indispensable. To detach is to see your thoughts as separate from yourself. It is to look at your mind the way a scientist observes an experiment. When emotion surges, do not say, "I am angry." Say, "Anger is arising." When fear visits, do not say, "I am afraid." Say, "Fear is passing through." That shift in language creates distance, and in that distance, you regain command. This practice, performed daily, builds emotional immunity. You will still feel, but you will not be ruled. You will still react, but you will recover instantly. The world will call you composed, but you will know you are free. Now let us address the central paradox of success. To rise higher, you must care deeply, yet not be controlled by what you care about. You must invest yourself in your purpose, but remain detached from its immediate results. This is what I call the paradox of emotional investment. If you tie your peace to outcomes, you become a hostage of results. If you tie your peace to discipline, you become master of results. You cannot always control the weather, but you can control the sail. You cannot control whether the seed grows today or tomorrow, but you can control whether you plant it. Emotionally detached people still care profoundly, but they express their care through persistent action, not anxious obsession. They know that worry achieves nothing except to poison efficiency. Detachment allows you to work without desperation, to plan without fear, to strive without tension. You still desire victory, but you are not destroyed by delay. When you detach from outcome, your performance improves. Why? Because clarity replaces clutter. A calm mind executes with precision, while an anxious mind sabotages itself through hesitation and haste. Have you noticed that those who succeed most seem to move effortlessly? Their success appears graceful not because they feel less pressure, but because they have learned to operate under pressure without collapse. They do not suppress emotion, they transcend it. That transcendence is the essence of mental discipline. Mental discipline is the alignment of attention with purpose. It is the daily training of focus. It is the refusal to be distracted by the drama of the moment. In a world that profits from your distraction, focus is rebellion. Mental discipline begins with attention. Where attention goes, energy flows. If your attention is scattered across trivialities, your energy follows, leaving your great ambitions unfed. Each day ask, where is my attention? Is it fixed on problems or on possibilities? On what you cannot control or on what you can refine? The disciplined mind filters experience like gold dust from sand, keeping what is valuable, discarding what is waste. To strengthen attention, practice single tasking. Do one thing with total presence. In that habit lies immense power. The man who can focus for 1 hour achieves more than the distracted man in 1 week. Mental discipline also requires emotional fasting. Withdraw occasionally from the endless stimulation of opinion, entertainment, and gossip. Every unnecessary input dilutes your inner signal. You must learn to guard your attention as a miser guards his gold. Every minute spent on nonsense is stolen from greatness. But understand, discipline is not punishment. It is precision. It is the sculptor's restraint that shapes beauty. Without discipline, the marble remains a block. With it, the angel emerges. When you master discipline, freedom follows. For freedom without discipline is chaos, and discipline without freedom is tyranny. The wise man unites both. There is a simple exercise that will test your mastery. Sit alone in silence for 15 minutes each morning. Observe your thoughts without interference. Do not fight them, do not follow them. Watch them rise and fall like waves. At first, you will discover how noisy your mind truly is, but persist, and you will discover a deeper silence beneath the noise, a silence that does not depend on circumstance. In that silence, strength accumulates. From this point, emotion becomes your ally. You will begin to use emotion, consciously directing enthusiasm when needed, invoking confidence by thought, transforming irritation into energy. You will see that emotion, like electricity, is neither good nor bad. Uncontrolled, it shocks. Controlled, it illuminates. When you learn to channel feeling through purpose, you generate what Hill called applied faith, faith energized by disciplined emotion. Applied faith is not blind belief. It is intelligent expectation. It is the calm certainty that right cause must yield right effect, even if time delays the harvest. This brings us to another subtle law, the law of emotional transmutation. Transmutation is the conversion of raw energy into refined expression. Just as coal becomes diamond under pressure, raw emotion becomes power under discipline. Anger, when refined, becomes assertiveness. Fear, when understood, becomes caution. Desire, when directed, becomes persistence. Love, when purified, becomes service. All emotional energy seeks expression. If you suppress it, it poisons the mind. If you direct it, it purifies the will. Every great inventor, leader, or creator has practiced emotional transmutation. They have turned pain into power, rejection into motivation, solitude into insight. They understand that nothing is wasted if it is transformed. The weak resent, the strong transmute. The secret is this: when emotion surges, pause, then redirect. Turn hurt into fuel, confusion into curiosity, jealousy into self-improvement. The very energy that once enslaved you will become the force that liberates you. And in time, you will notice something extraordinary. Life itself begins to obey your inner rhythm. People respond differently. Circumstances bend subtly. Opportunities appear where panic once blinded you. You have not changed the world. You have changed your vibration. For reality is filtered through consciousness, and consciousness reflects emotion. Master emotion, and the world becomes your mirror, calm, clear, obedient to will. Thus, success is not pursuit but projection. You attract what matches your mental state. If you radiate peace, you draw order. If you radiate confidence, you draw cooperation. If you radiate fear, you draw defeat. This is the great secret the masses overlook. Success begins in stillness. The results you chase outwardly are but echoes of the thoughts you maintain inwardly. When you have mastered emotional detachment, life becomes less of a struggle and more of a strategy. You no longer battle waves, you learn to surf them. You no longer fear storms, you learn to use their wind. Detachment gives you tactical supremacy over chaos. You stop wasting energy on resistance and redirect it toward construction. There is a difference between the man who fights life and the man who flows with it. One exhausts himself trying to control the uncontrollable. The other channels his will through what he can influence: his attitude, his action, his awareness. Detachment teaches you this equation. Control your response, and you control your results. Every frustration in life is an opportunity to practice that principle. The next time something disturbs you, say silently, "Here lies my training." The mind, disciplined in small irritations, becomes unshakable in great ones. The soldier who trains under pressure wins in war. The thinker who trains under provocation wins in peace. Remember, emotional mastery is not a gift, it is a grind. It is built through daily repetition of intelligent calm. You will not feel powerful every day, but if you persist, power will become your nature. Do not seek to eliminate emotion, seek to elevate it. Do not seek to escape the world, seek to operate above it. In this elevated state, you no longer chase happiness, you create it. You no longer seek approval, you exude certainty. You no longer depend on mood, you depend on method. This is the level where the mind becomes a disciplined instrument of destiny. You no longer say, "I hope I succeed." You say, "I have conditioned myself for success." For success is never accidental. It is the inevitable result of consistent inner order. And when that order becomes automatic, when your first reaction to adversity is calm, your first thought is clarity, your first action is precision, you have reached the threshold of unstoppable success. You have become a master of mind. The true battle of success is not between you and the world. It is between the higher self that commands and the lower self that complains. The world you see is merely the reflection of whichever self you allow to rule. There are two kinds of people: those who live by reaction and those who live by design. The first drift in the currents of circumstance, tossed by emotion and opinion. The second move with the precision of purpose, directing every thought like an engineer directs a current of electricity. Reaction is the habit of slaves, design is the habit of kings. If you wish to build a life that others cannot shake, you must practice the law of inner dominion. Inner dominion is the science of ruling your inner kingdom with justice, discipline, and vision. It means that your emotions serve you, not enslave you. Your thoughts obey you, not confuse you. Your habits align with your destiny, not with your distractions. You are both ruler and subject of this invisible empire called mind. If you rule wisely, your kingdom prospers. If you rule weakly, rebellion destroys it. Every great leader first learned to lead himself. You cannot demand obedience from circumstance until you have demanded it from your own mind. To live under emotional domination is to live as a prisoner in a palace. The walls may be golden, but they are still walls. Inner dominion begins with self-observation. The wise man does not suppress his impulses, he studies them. He asks, "Why does this anger arise? What belief fuels this fear? What desire breeds this envy?" He dissects the emotion until he finds the thought that feeds it. Then he corrects the thought, and the emotion dissolves like mist in sunlight. He does not curse the storm, he studies the wind. Every negative emotion is a message, not a master. It reveals what you have yet to understand. Anger says, something violates your sense of justice. Fear says, something threatens your sense of control. Jealousy says, something exposes your sense of inadequacy. Each is an invitation to grow in understanding. The emotionally undisciplined man fights the message and multiplies the pain. The emotionally intelligent man listens to the message and neutralizes the cause. When you understand the root of emotion, you uproot its power over you. The man who knows himself is immune to manipulation. The world cannot offend him, for he has already confronted his own weaknesses. And once you are no longer offended by the world, you become free to influence it. Understand this great paradox. The man who cannot be offended holds supreme influence. Because his calm cannot be shaken, his focus cannot be stolen. Inner dominion transforms you from a creature of mood into a creator of movement. You cease to depend on circumstance for direction. You begin to originate momentum from within. This is what Napoleon Hill called personal initiative, the ability to move yourself to act without being moved by external force. Initiative is the spirit of dominion in action. It means you do not wait for mood, permission, or guarantee. You move because principle commands it. You act because purpose demands it. The undisciplined man says, "I'll act when I feel ready." The disciplined man says, "I'll act until I feel ready." Every great achievement began before enthusiasm arrived. Enthusiasm follows action like a shadow follows light. Begin and emotion obeys. You must develop the habit of beginning immediately, for delay is the favorite weapon of fear. Every time you postpone the small act, you reinforce the great weakness. Tiny decisive habits create towering confidence. Each small victory strengthens the muscle of will. Start your day with one act of deliberate control. Wake before comfort invites you. Read before distraction finds you. Write one clear objective before the world demands your attention. These are the quiet declarations of inner dominion. Discipline is not a punishment. It is a declaration of sovereignty. Every time you do what is right instead of what is easy, you affirm that your will is stronger than your whim. Those who cannot discipline themselves are forever disciplined by others, by debt, by demand, by disorder. Those who command themselves need no master. Now we turn to one of the rarest and most powerful forms of mastery, emotional alchemy. Alchemy in ancient times was the search to turn base metals into gold. But the wise knew that this symbolized something far greater, the transformation of base emotions into spiritual power. Fear into courage, pain into wisdom, anger into resolve, desire into creation. Every emotion contains energy. You cannot destroy energy, but you can change its form. When you feel fear, your energy withdraws. When you feel courage, that same energy advances. The difference is not energy, but direction. Therefore, to master emotion is to master energy. Here is the formula. Awareness converts energy into clarity. Clarity directs energy into purpose. Purpose converts energy into power. A negative emotion is not a curse, it is raw potential waiting for redirection. When something angers you, instead of exploding outward, channel that heat inward. Use it to fuel learning, preparation, creation. When something frightens you, do not run. Study it until it shrinks to its true size. When envy arises, do not despise the one who succeeded. Study what he did that you avoided. This is emotional alchemy, the art of turning reaction into revelation. You will know you are advancing in mastery when you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to strengthen in me?" The difference between the average man and the master is not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of interpretation. Two men lose everything. One curses fate. The other rebuilds faster than before. The event was the same. The inner meaning was different. The secret of alchemy lies in meaning. Meaning transforms pain into purpose. When you give meaning to your struggle, you rob it of its poison. Therefore, never waste a difficulty. Every hardship contains a lesson. Every wound hides a treasure. Extract it, refine it, turn it into strength. You must also learn the habit of emotional substitution. When a destructive feeling arises, do not resist it, replace it. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you merely suppress anger, it returns. But if you replace anger with understanding, fear with curiosity, laziness with enthusiasm, the energy transmutes. Substitution is the bridge between suppression and transformation. Each time you practice substitution, you rewrite the reflexes of your mind. You train your nervous system to obey thought instead of impulse. In time, reaction disappears. Response remains. And response, deliberate, calm, intentional, is the language of mastery. Let us now speak of another profound truth. The emotionally detached man is not emotionless. He is emotionally independent. He can experience joy without clinging, loss without collapse, success without arrogance, defeat without despair. He does not need the world to validate his worth. His peace is not negotiable. When you reach that state, the world loses its power to control you through reward or punishment. You cease to be a slave to praise or blame. That is true freedom. No one can give or take your worth because your worth no longer depends on the external. It lives in the silent certainty of your mind. To achieve that level, practice non-identification. When you fail, say not, I am a failure, but failure has visited me. When you succeed, say not, I am superior, but success has expressed itself through me. You are not the event. You are the observer of events. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that commands them. When you forget this, you suffer. When you remember this, you rise. Non-identification is not detachment from life, it is detachment from illusion. It allows you to live fully without being destroyed by what you live through. You can participate in the world without being possessed by it. Now, let us speak of the subtle danger that destroys the disciplined mind, emotional contamination. You absorb the emotions of the environments you inhabit. The company of angry men infects you with irritation. The company of fearful men infuses you with hesitation. The company of ambitious, calm minds elevates you to clarity. Guard your environment as you guard your subconscious. Choose associates whose equilibrium you respect. Do not let your surroundings dictate your vibration. Let your vibration dictate your surroundings. It is not arrogance to avoid the company of chaos. It is wisdom. You cannot remain calm in the midst of noise if you dine daily with noisemakers. Solitude purifies emotion. Association amplifies it. So be deliberate with whom you allow to influence your mental climate. You are the average of the 5 emotional atmospheres you tolerate. And remember, the greatest contamination comes not from others, but from your own neglected thoughts. Keep the temple of the mind clean. Each night, before you sleep, review the day and release emotional residue. Do not carry unfinished anger, regret, or tension into tomorrow. Clean the mind as you would clean a house. Gratitude is the broom. Reflection is the polish. Forgiveness is the open window through which fresh air enters. Those who never cleanse their emotions wake heavy each morning, burdened by invisible clutter. But those who practice nightly release awaken with renewed strength, as if their spirit has been washed. Tiny mental habits, performed with sincerity, lead to monumental serenity. Let us also discuss the principle of constructive indifference. Constructive indifference means refusing to spend emotional energy on matters beneath your mission. It is not that you do not notice, it is that you choose not to bleed. Every irritation demands a payment of energy. The wise man simply refuses to pay. Someone gossips, he smiles and stays silent. Someone doubts him, he works harder. Someone leaves, he remains whole. He practices emotional triage. What deserves reaction receives it. What does not dissolves in indifference. This form of self-command multiplies productivity, peace, and persuasion. For nothing confuses the petty mind more than the calm refusal to engage. Indifference to insult is intelligence. Indifference to distraction is discipline. Indifference to chaos is control. When you stop reacting to trivialities, the universe begins delivering priorities. Energy once wasted on reaction becomes available for creation. Creation, not reaction, is the highest function of consciousness. Thus, emotional detachment is not withdrawal from life, it is mastery of life's theater. You become both actor and director. You no longer drown in the play, you command the stage. Let us go deeper into the science of habit formation, for everything you've heard becomes worthless unless it becomes habitual. Habits are the automation of belief. They are the fingerprints of the subconscious. Whatever you repeat, you become. Your habits of emotion are no different from your habits of action. If you habitually react, you strengthen reactivity. If you habitually pause, you strengthen patience. Every repetition is a vote for who you are becoming. The secret, then, is to practice the emotion you want until it becomes instinct. Practice calmness in small moments. Practice gratitude in discomfort. Practice patience in delay. Each time you do, you install a new emotional reflex. And once installed, That reflex protects you when storms arrive. Do not underestimate the power of the microscopic. A grain of sand can alter the course of a river. A single new habit can alter the course of a life. Greatness is not the sum of one giant act, it is the compounding of countless small disciplines. Every tiny act of self-control strengthens the architecture of destiny. To change the world outside, begin with one unseen change inside. If you cannot control a single reaction, how can you expect to control a future empire? Discipline begins where no one watches. When no one applauds, when no one rewards, when no one believes, that is when mastery is forged. Every day you resist temptation, you polish your crown of control. One day, the world will call it luck. You will call it law. And when you stand before the results of your discipline, you will realize that success was never something you achieved, it was something you became. For the man who commands himself has already conquered the world. True greatness is not measured by how loudly a man celebrates victory, but by how quietly he governs his mind in solitude. The world may see your success, but only you know the silent battles fought between faith and fear, order and chaos, will and weakness. Success is not a single peak, but a discipline lived daily, built in unseen moments where you choose focus over distraction, calm over panic, integrity over ease. Each morning you stand before two doors, reaction or creation. One leads to noise, the other to power. Choose creation until it becomes instinct, for the disciplined are the ones life bends to. The calm mind may not control the storm, but it never loses direction. Mastery is not perfection, but unbroken progression. The master is not one who never falls, but one who never stays fallen. Hardship is not misfortune, but preparation. The master sees clearly where the victim distorts, for he wears the lens of composure. To think clearly while others crumble, that is emotional neutrality, the art of moving with intention instead of impulse. Every crisis is a test of composure, and the man who stays calm the longest wins. Make peace your default, not your luxury. Influence belongs to those who cannot be shaken, for calm is power refined. You near mastery when criticism no longer wounds, praise no longer intoxicates, and uncertainty no longer paralyzes. That is true freedom, not from responsibility, but from disturbance. Success, at its highest form, is harmony with law, and the greatest law is that thought becomes form when charged with faith and disciplined emotion. Faith is disciplined, belief the quiet certainty that right action brings right result. When faith and discipline unite, a man becomes unstoppable, because nothing external can defeat an ordered mind. Wealth is not possession, but alignment. Emotional detachment is the path to abundance. Detached from fear and opportunity multiplies, detached from need and love flows, detached from hurry and progress accelerates. Work with precision, not panic. Each calm decision multiplies its effect, shaping a destiny invisible to the impulsive. The small governs the great, the unseen governs the seen, the calm thought, the measured breath, the pause before reaction. These are the habits that build empires within before they appear without. One day, others will call your composure luck, not knowing the battles fought in silence, the mornings of discipline, the nights of restraint. Yet you will know that greatness was built in secret, maintained in stillness, and revealed through power. For mastery begins not in noise, but in your next breath, your next thought, your next calm command over yourself. Conquer your mind, and the world will quietly align around your strength.